Okay.
So I want to welcome everybody to our Pottery Business Overview. This is specifically for breeders or people interested in working with breeders. I am a breeder. I've been breeding for almost 30 years or 30 years-ish. I'm not even sure exactly how long, but for a long time. I fed raw for 20 years. I was on the dog food roller coaster after that for a long time. And then I finally found pottery, and pottery is the longest I have fed a commercial food for ever. It's the longest I've ever fed a commercial food. I'm really happy with the company. I was a little bit resistant at first to doing something like this, but my first priority was the health of my puppies and the satisfaction of my puppy families, as yours should be. And that's because that's a reflection of my business. Anything I recommend to my puppy parents, and they're always asking me for recommendations, is a reflection of my business. So I would never recommend anything I didn't have 100% confidence in for that reason. So I would encourage you guys to make sure that you have confidence in any products you recommend, including pottery. I definitely do, which is why I not only recommend them, but I do things like this to share with the community. And it's really important that we get the best nutrition on our puppies, because that first year is critical. And so the pottery food has been wonderful for my puppies and my program. We want each puppy to be the best they can be. And nutrition is obviously a big part of it. And like I mentioned before, our families are always coming to us and saying, what do I buy? What do I feed? What supplements do I use? What shampoo do I use? What leash do I use? They want to know everything from us. So we spend a lot of time as breeders looking for good products for them. And one of the nice things about pottery is you have both the excellent products and also the opportunity to make some commissions. Let's move on. Let's move to the next slide. Thank you.
All right, you guys, I'm Lisa Robinson. I've been with the company from the early stages. I was in the first 500 that joined. I'm kind of like, what you feed your dog is a representation of your business and the health of your puppy, your dog. I jumped into pottery because my dog was having allergy issues. My lab, lots of hot spots, unresolved hot spots, went to the vet. The vet just kept saying it's genetic. And then when I switched over to pottery, the hot spots were gone. And it blew my mind that it was as simple as nutrition and not just genetics. So I was thrilled. No more steroid shots for my lab. And she was getting them at least once, sometimes twice a year. So I'm a huge fan of pottery. I am a huge fan of having healthy puppies and continuing that on and recommending this company to people that, well, pretty much anyone. It can be at the grocery store. It doesn't matter. I talk about pottery all the time. A lot of deception in the health arena, whether it's humans or animals, but I trust pottery. I trust the products. I trust the company. No regrets being here. So I love it. I will tell you, it saved me money from the frequency that I go to the vet, obviously, because I'm not going and doing the steroid shots. So I'm one of those that I like to test things out a bit. So sometimes I'm one of those where I'm like, maybe it's coincidental that this happened. So I'll do things that make me regret them later. I thought maybe things were coincidental. Maybe my dog's, stool is looking better because it's just that time of magic on the planet. So there was a time where I had a mama and I thought, we're spending so much on all this food. I'm going to go back to something that's a little cheaper. And I'm telling you, 2 vet visits because I had extreme diarrhea with my pups. And so I've tried and tested it. If you're like, I wonder if this works, call me, because I've tapped around. And at the end of the day, I am thrilled with pottery. I'm thrilled with less frequent visits to the vet. I'm thrilled with the health of my puppies. And we've got healthy babies, healthy mamas. My mamas don't drop their coats like they used to. And they look amazing. So I recommend it. I recommend it for your breeding program, especially because what you say, people will do. And it's one of those things as a breeder where and I'm a dog trainer as well. So as a dog trainer, people always ask me, what do you feed your dog? Or my breeder said my dog's on this. So even as a trainer, I come in saying, well, let's talk about this and this. They'll say, oh, my breeder said this. So it's amazing how many people will hold what we say as like the thing. So get your dogs healthy, get your puppies on Patri, and I promise you will not regret it. It's made a major difference in my program.
Definitely agree.
And here's the other thing too, you guys, with that too, for me, I was doing it for the health of the dogs first and foremost, but then you make residual income too. So at the time when I first joined, I'm like, oh, this is great. It's paying for my dog's food. And then it turned into, oh, it's cool. It's paying for my vet visits or my reproduction visits. And now it's paying for a lot of different stuff. And so the residual income to me was kind of the bonus of something I would recommend anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, we can move to the next slide on that.
So the Patri story is a really good one. Roger was in the pet industry for a long time, and he noticed very early on that pet companies were putting profits ahead of pets, and that, you know, dog food new dog food would come to the market, it would go on the shelf, it would get some special marketing, things would go really well, and then all of a sudden the for us, not for the customers, but for, you know, the wholesale prices. So companies would have to figure out ways to cut costs, and, you know, cutting costs is typically cutting quality. So I don't know if you've experienced this, but the reason I was on the dog food roller coaster was I would be on a food, everything would be fine for a little while, and then all of a sudden they would change their sourcing, or, you know, they can change their formulas a certain amount without having to put a change on the label. They would change something in the formula, and that would affect my dogs. And I get calls from puppy families, oh, we have diarrhea all of a sudden, you know, call after call. And you dig around enough and you found out that they changed their sourcing, or they changed an ingredient that they didn't tell you about. And that's because of the pressure that's being put on them by the retail stores. With a business model like Patri has, Roger has control over his sourcing and pricing in a way that brands that sell in the big box stores don't. So that's a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful way that Patri's found to serve pets and people and maintain their quality, which is critical to me. And I've been surprised and very, very pleased at how much transparency there is in the company with us, how much they listen to us, and how much they do really, you know, walk the walk and talk the talk about maintaining quality. So that's a really awesome benefit for me. Let's move on, please.
Okay, you guys, what Patri doesn't have is a lot of companies will throw in animal byproducts, and they'll throw in, you know, wheat and corn and a lot of stuff like that as fillers. And there's, like I said, there's a lot of deception. They'll add sweeteners to the food, you know, to kind of entice the dog to want more. And what people will say sometimes is, oh my gosh, my dog really likes this food. Well, guess what? I really like French fries, but maybe I should eat a salad, you know? And so there's a lot of stuff in other companies' foods that you would never want your dog to eat. Now, here's the thing. I can choose to have my fries and Diet Coke, which I do on a regular basis, but it's my choice. Like, I can decide what goes into my system. These animals, we are in charge of what they eat. So they rely on us. They're not foraging in the forest anymore. They have the nice beds and, you know, the soft music and, you know, comfy little homes to live in. But they rely on us for their food, for their nutrition. So we have a massive responsibility. You know, you can say, oh, my dog really likes this food, but maybe it doesn't have the best stuff in it. For me, I don't know if anybody's ever done like this clean diet, you know, clean eating. When you start eating really healthy, you don't want to go back to the other stuff because your system goes, oh, this is what I need. This is what I crave. Especially with puppies, this year is critical. That first year is so critical. So I don't encourage my people that I train and my people in my puppy people to feed anything outside of Patri. The treats I use from Patri. The food is Patri because it's like an infant. You know, you don't start your infant off on, you know, Skittles and say, oh, now here's some kale, eat it. So we don't have any fillers. We don't have byproducts. It's sourced properly. You know, we have great omegas in our food. We have complete balanced nutrition, customized nutrition plans. I have 3 babies, 3 dogs. All 3 of them had different needs at one point. Now they're all kind of merged onto the same thing, but it was really nice to put in what my dogs were dealing with. I had one dog that was overweight. I had my dog with hot spots, and then I have a dog that would eat any and everything. And so it was nice to be able to say, okay, I'm going to put in a custom, what my dog's issues are. And they will ask you when you go to register, what are your concerns? And then it will do a customized meal plan for that dog. And then it will even break it down to what it will cost a day and how much you feed a day. And so it takes out the guesswork, but high quality proteins, which is a huge deal. It's a huge deal. If you guys want to dive into how dog food is sourced, go do some background research, and you will not ever want to feed your dogs anything outside of something like Patri again. We have taurine that supports great health and eye health, lots and lots of good stuff. And one of my favorite things is it's sourced in the United States, which is a very big deal to me. So read through all of this, great stuff, but go read some other packages, and then you'll realize how creative they're getting with verbiage. And we don't have any deception in our meal plan. So let's do the next slide. G, you got that?
Gee, we're getting some lag. We're not hearing you very clearly. Is it just me?
You know what? Well, G, I think it's not coming through on your end. So I'll just go with this one, and then G, you can grab the next one if that's okay. There's a full line of natural holistic products. We have the pet food seasoning. I use the pet food seasoning as a treat. It's was meant for like a meal topper to kind of mix up your dog's choice. Here's a little chicken, here's a little duck, here's a little beef. Dogs love it, especially picky eaters. But now as a trainer, I use that for my treats. So I'll sprinkle a little bit of that seasoning on a container, like I'll do a little container of food. I actually recycle the Paw Pairings containers. I'll do that seasoning on there, just a little bit, sprinkle on the food. So now I'm giving the puppy, or I'm giving the dog, their actual food, but now it tastes, like salmon or ocean fish or beef. And so the dogs love that. And I'm also they're not going to get an upset stomach. They're not going to get overweight. You're just giving them their dog food. So that's how I use the seasoning. Highly, highly recommend to do that because it works really well, especially with a puppy in training or a dog in training. Our treats are amazing. What you see on the treat package is what you get. So this chicken and kale, you're getting chicken and kale. That's it. We have a health and wellness line, which is incredible. Solution sets, which are incredible. Great toys, cat foods, dog foods, potty training, waste management and grooming. And we've now added, we've got some amazing CBD products. We've got an amazing spa line. And, we just keep adding to it, and it's awesome. There's not one item that we have that I don't highly recommend. GastroPro Plus, incredible. For mamas, incredible for puppies. I highly recommend all that as well. Okay, G, let's see if you can chime in for the next one.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Yep, now we got you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, yay. Okay, awesome. I love this graphic on this slide, okay? The first time I saw this, it blew me away. And what it does is it's a really good illustration of how nutrient dense Patri is. I found that, for example, with a 50-pound dog that I was feeding another food of, and I was feeding her 4 cups a day of that food. When I went to Patri, she went down to 2.5 cups of food, and she still maintained excellent body condition. Her coat, in fact, got better. But the reason for that is that the bigger brands, they will put less digestible food in just as a filler to give you some empty calories or to give you some bulk so the dogs feel full. And they're not, genuinely full because they've had good nutrition. And that's when you end up getting the big stinky poops, okay, is when they put in all those fillers, because what happens is that's undigestible fiber, and it goes in, and since they don't digest it, they poop it out. And since it's more volume, there will be more bacteria in the gut trying to eat it, and that creates more of the odors and more gassiness. Whereas if you have a digestible food, it will be absorbed into them nutritionally. The nutrition will be absorbed, and there's less that gets pooped out. So you have smaller volume stool. It doesn't smell as much, and you have to feed less. So even though Patri does have a higher price point, you're not going to be feeding as much. So it does tend to work out in the wash there. Okay, we can move on. There we go.
You guys, first of all, I just have to comment. Only G can talk about poo and have you go, oh, that's like that. I was unaware of that. When people, if you're going to talk about poop with anyone, you talk about it with G and you'll be like, that's amazing. I had no idea, with a smile on your face. So I love it. I love it. So the Patri food benefits, you guys, it's really one of those things where I have been with the company long enough where I have this is what I love. You guys are going to gain your own testimonials. Okay. You can hear what I say. You can hear what G says. You can hear what other people are going to say, but you want to gain your own testimonial. And I promise you will. For me with Oakley, it was a game changer at Hello, but because I've been with the company for so long, I've not only heard of all these stories that are just amazing, I have seen the changes that happen with dogs and with cats. And so it's amazing. Cats, I'll be honest with you, I only have a few cats that I know of that are on that I personally know of with the neighbors, so that I keep track of, and they've done well. And cats can be kind of picky, and they have a good attitude. And I love their demeanor, because that's sometimes how I feel. But they do well. We have real meat is the first ingredient, and that is very critical. You guys know the whole thing with the first ingredient, right? You want it to be real meat. It's a very balanced diet. It contains omegas. Gee, I kind of want you to do this one, because you go the science route. I go the sign up. It's amazing stuff.
Sure. So instead of like just reading this off, I want to say something first, and that is quality of ingredients matter. So you can put a whole list of really good ingredients on a dog food bag, but if you're sourcing garbage food, it doesn't matter what the ingredients list looks like. So you want to look for a company where you're comfortable with their sourcing, and that they are getting good quality products, that it's coming predominantly from the US, or from at least from responsible countries, where we can trust the reliability of the ingredients, such as Canada and parts of Europe. So that's the first thing, is make sure that your dog food is coming from good sourcing, because a pretty label doesn't matter if there's garbage sourced food in there. So one of the things I like about Patri is they're very open about their sourcing, and I do trust the quality of the ingredients, and I see that in my dogs every day. But the details of that includes that there's, in addition to great sourcing, we don't have any corn, wheat, or soy, or any of those cheap fillers that go in there. There are no poultry byproducts, which is an even cheaper filler. Because of the high digestibility, you have the reduced stool volume. There's no sugar or added sweeteners or colors or flavors or preservatives. It's developed by PhD veterinarian nutritionists. It's made in the US. It's got really good protein sources, good protein levels. It's got really good, there are different formulas. Some of them are not appropriate for pregnant nursing dogs and for puppies, but there are several that are, and those are really excellent for our dogs. I've been amazed at the results I've seen. And it is very balanced. And I think that's all I want to say about this. We can talk about quality a little bit further on, I think, as well.
Okay. And I just want to say, when I didn't have my mamas on Patri, and I don't know if this is just coincidental. Again, I do this, but I've never had healthier puppies. I'll sometimes have a smaller dog, but they're very, I've got healthy puppies, and I have healthy mamas. It's amazing. By the way, a little side note with your mamas, since we're doing the little breeders thing here, the dental sticks, they're a game changer. You know how the mamas are always cleaning up after the babies? Give a little dental stick here and there, and then you don't mind if they're talking to you like this. And so that's a great thing. But I've really seen a huge difference in my litter size have increased, and it's with several different moms. And I just had a girl message me this morning who she kind of gave me the big eye emoji, because she was averaging 6 puppies, and she just got confirmation that she has 13 puppies in mama right now. And she's like, could it possibly be the food? We don't like, that's to be debated, but she's never had that many in a litter. So we've got healthy mamas because they're on the Patri food. Before Patri, I will tell you, especially because I've done a lot of rescue and rehoming and stuff, I had lots of dogs coming in and out at one time before all of this. I loved having some rescue dogs in my home because most of them would come to me in dire straits. Like they were not looking good. And it was amazing. And I've used this as an example multiple times. Some of you have heard it, but I had this Great Dane that came to me, and she was the first dog that I had at my doorstep where I thought, I don't know if I want her in my house because she just looked terrible. She looked terrible. And this was my introduction to Patri outside of my personal experience with my own dog. And she was this black dog you could see everything that was going wrong. And I switched to everything like all at once. And do you want to do that slow transition? But with her, in her case, I'm like, I'm going to switch it. I will tell you, after a few months with her being on Patri, completely different dog. And I'm so sad I didn't have a before picture to the after, because her coat, especially with black dogs, you can really see it, right? Her coat is phenomenal. Like her skin is phenomenal. Her skin's phenomenal. Her stool, I will tell you, is one of the first times that I have gagged picking up stool. Little rhinoceros situation. And she was just on all the wrong stuff. And now it's literally, I can't tell the difference between her stool and, my lab, and before, her output was just horrendous. It was terrible. So I did see the difference with her. And that was a big deal. My mamas generally do well wanting to stay on Patri throughout, pregnancy. I do have one mom who gets a little picky, and that's when I do add the seasoning to her food when she's pregnant. Mamas get, sometimes they get a little morning sickness. And so that's where we've got lots of options with different foods and different blends, and subtle changes can make a big difference. And that helps. The coats, my mom's coats look a lot better. They don't have that dull coat. They're not dropping their coat like they used to. My lab, when she first had her first litter, I couldn't believe how terrible she looked after her first litter. And then we were introduced to Patri, and now she's a grandma that's retired, but it made a big difference there. So you'll see a difference in the milk production. I've not had an issue with milk production personally. It's been great. I've maintained that coat. They bounce back rather quickly as well. They're eating the right stuff. And so when you are transitioning them, from being a puppy mama to back to normal business, they bounce back. My girls bounce back really well. I mean, and it's been an awesome thing to witness that. So, and with the puppies, transitioning them to puppies, the way I do it is I will take the Patri food and I'll put it in a little blender, and I make a little puppy mash out of it. And then we transition from that to, I'll soak, sometimes with my smaller dogs, I'll soak it. And then, when they're starting to get their teeth, and then they eat that, and then we transition to kibble. So that's just how I do it personally. I add GastroPro to it as well. And I've had great stool with the puppies as well.
And I just wanted to let you know it's 12:23, and I know there's some other numbers you wanted to get to. So
okay, we'll go fast.
I want to add one quick thing to that. One of the things I noticed, like you said, Lisa, in the recovery, is that we have so significantly less discharge from our moms, and for shorter periods of time, that it floors me. Just the lack of the lack of extended and extreme amounts of discharge is just incredible. Okay, let's go on.
And it's because the bodies are working. Like they're working. So G, you go on the gastro and we'll just talk fast.
Sure. So this is one of my favorite Patri products, is GastroPro Plus. It's a gut supplement, and it's a comprehensive gut supplement. It's not just a probiotic. It has prebiotics to feed the good bacteria, probiotics, which are good bacteria, digestive enzymes to help break things down. And then it's got some gut soothing herbs. And this is really an all around good product. It's really good for dogs with morning sickness. Lisa mentioned this, but I think most of us breeders use it right from the beginning with weaning to help with forming up their stool and getting, really priming their gut microbiome to be healthy. When you send it home, the puppies home on them, it can help with, if you have any stress diarrhea with the transition, helps with sensitive stomach, with loose stool and bad gas. I call it puppy Imodium. Good stuff.
And I will say with my program, when I'm giving my recommendations, I tell everybody, just trust me and please get this, because I'll get a call at 11 o'clock at night or sometimes later, and people say, do you have any of that gastro stuff? I'm like, yeah, you should order it. But this is something, you trust me when I tell you, you want it, you need it. Just get that. It's a game changer. Okay, let's go to the next. Okay, so really quick, paw treats, paw pairings. Paw pairings, that's what I use for my main treats. I recycle those containers. I'll actually take the seasoning, put it in a different container, use those containers, fill it mostly with food, tiny bit of seasoning, shake it up. That's what I use for treats. Put it in your purse, put it in your car, put it at your front door. They hear that little shake sound, and I don't shake it like a maraca, just a little shake sound. They hear that and like, oh, I'll do whatever you want because I love what you have. Paw treats, they're all amazing. I use the paw treats as the higher value reward. So the food is my, oh, you're doing so great, just sitting there being polite. And then the paw treats, I use that when I really need a dog to do something, I really need a puppy to do something, and they're going to work more for that than they will for just their kibble. Most puppies do really well with kibble until you introduce them to other stuff. Then they're like, wait a minute, there's something else out there. But I encourage all of my puppy parents, I say, get at least 3. So I always just recommend like a jet setter, jet setter pack, because then they do the 3, and then the paw treats are the high value reward. Okay,
Awesome.
next.
Okay, so this is an important one to me, is cash flow. It is not cheap to be a responsible breeder, and I think it's really important for us as responsible breeders to have financially sound programs, because if you have to make some of those hard choices, it's expensive. If you have to take a dog out of your program, you lose that dog. If you have to have an emergency C-section or whatever it is, if you want to go for that really expensive stud to really beef up your program, it's not cheap. And having some extra income for your program is very helpful. And with Pawtree, you can get up to 35% of everything your puppy families purchase. And that is for the life of the dog. That's not just on go home. So you get this residual income. I realized I'm getting older, I'm in my 50s. I don't have a good retirement plan. And, some other breeders in Pawtree, the Loudermilks, mentioned that they are doing this as part of their retirement plan. And that was a big green light for me. That was like, wow, I need to look at this. And it now has become, after 3 years, it is a very, very significant portion of my retirement plan. It's a good portion of my income. It's a really wonderful program. And, as breeders, there's no reason that we can't stay involved with our families and continue to earn commissions off of what they buy. Somebody is making that money. It's, I would rather it be one of you than Amazon, personally. So I think it's absolutely fantastic. And there's a testimonial on here. Kathy worked over 25 years as a professional to earn a good pension. And after only 3.5 years, her Pawtree monthly commissions have now exceeded her monthly pension check. My mother, who is also a breeder, who actually got me into breeding, she is a pet pro as well. And after 2 years, she was making more with Pawtree than she did at any job ever in her life. Okay. Which is just outstanding. She's retired too, so she now has a really good retirement income where she didn't before. So I think that's, Lisa, do you have anything to add to this? Because this is an important
Yeah, honestly, we have this great responsibility as breeders where we really do have families that trust us. We really do. And well, depending on if you are a dedicated, sorry, my mom is calling me, sorry. but people will ask me, who's your vet? Who's your groomer? What food do you feed? And whatever I say, I can't believe how much, again, what G said at the beginning, whether it's a leash or a toy or whatever, they're like, well, what did you get? What did you do? And for me, nutrition, I tell my families, there are 3 things that really, really matter with your pets. Genetics. So hopefully if you're a responsible breeder, you're doing the best you can do with genetics. Okay. That's happening. That's happened. Pet nutrition. Okay. You're very much in charge. Your families are very much in charge of pet nutrition, and socialization. Those are the 3 things that I tell people as a breeder. That's what I tell people as a trainer. You don't want to skimp on either one of those 3. And pet nutrition is an easy thing to go, okay, I've done my due diligence. And I will tell you, as a trainer, now take me outside of the breeding arena, as a trainer, I will see a difference when dogs are not and puppies are not on a good food, because if they're not having a healthy day or they're not having a healthy gut, it will manifest in behaviors. It will manifest in sometimes they're a little more reactive. And so it's like giving your child fast food every single day and saying, okay, I want you to function. And, they're eventually going to be like, wow, I just don't have it in me right now. Or, woo, I'm so crazy busy, and so this is where you can find that balance, and it really does help with the training, and it absolutely helps with the health of the dog. And so I will never go back to, this is what I recommend. This is what I'll always recommend, because I've been thrilled with it. I've not had an issue. And I have very, very happy customers.
And families will go out and they don't know what they're buying, because it's not something most people, have the time to be educated or even the interest. And they'll just go out and buy a pretty bag, and you don't know what's inside the pretty bag.
Right. And I will tell you, this is as simple as it is. So when I have puppies, which I have right now, they're magical. At around week 6, I will send them a link and say, okay, these are my recommendations. And then they just simply click on the link that you've sent them, because it will be linked to you. If you sign up, you get your own little link, and it's super simple, but you just say, you send them a Patri link, it goes to their phone. You can send it via email. And then I give them my recommendations, and for me, it's as simple as that. Now, there are some families where they get a little sidetracked, they get a little busy, and then I'll send them a reminder, hey, you want to have that food ordered before your puppy goes home. And I would say I have a couple of raw feeders, and I respect that as well. But outside of that, people they stick with the Patri, and I have families that have stuck with Patri for several years, and we're maintaining it. So it's been a great thing. I don't have to call them all the time and say, hey, how's the food going? And the great thing with Patri too. Go ahead, G.
I was going to add that most products are raw compatible, because our our treats and the paw pairings are all freeze-dried raw. So raw families can absolutely use most of the products.
Absolutely. And they love it as well. So it's been a great thing. It's a kind of a bonus to your business. You want to maintain healthy puppies. You want to maintain, giving your puppies a great head start and giving the mamas a great, recovery. But for me personally, I'm not done with my puppies once they're in their new homes. I take great pride in knowing that I've got great families for these puppies, and they're maintaining a great nutrition program. And that's how I sleep at night. I say that with sarcasm. You guys know I don't sleep, but that's not why. I can't say that.
All right, so these are just some examples of how much you can make. These are hypotheticals, and we can look at this one and then we can go to the next one. We don't have to look at these in detail, but it's just some examples of how much money you can earn with Patri over time, and you can see the residual effect. So, and these aren't really far off my personal experience going up the levels in Patri and staying with it for a long time. So, all right, and we can move on. And then here are some testimonials from some breeders. Lisa's on here. I'm on there. Okay. So, I've found personally that puppies wean super well to Patri. The only time I've ever seen a poop volume and quality like I see with Patri is when I fed raw. And it's not quite the same as, I'm talking about poop again, Lisa. It's not quite it's not quite the same as raw poop, but it is as close as I have ever gotten with a commercial food. I get the same small volume, and I get the same low odor. It's not, I fed raw with bones, and you don't get that crumbly white because it doesn't have the bone in it like a raw food would, but otherwise it's very, very comparable. And then Lisa, do you want to talk about your testimonial on here?
You know what? I'll just say this, because we love talking about poop. You guys know when you're a breeder, like poop's important. I will say that's how it's humans, animals, that's how you can kind of do a check on health. And when I have good, nice poops with my puppies and my mamas, oh my gosh, and I literally have said to my husband, oh my gosh, look at this poop. And he doesn't quite get it, but he'll look and go, oh, that's nice. But
you can call me to brag about it, please.
And I've sent poop to some of my breeder friends where I'm like, look at this. Oh yeah, that's awesome. But it really does make it or break some things with the puppies where you're just like, wow, you know, this is great poop. And so for me, it's all in the poop. It's all in the poop. And you can see that with the puppies. That transition can sometimes be difficult for puppies. And so you want to make it nice and smooth, like a Tootsie Roll.
And last slide, I think we're on. Yes, that's right. We want those Tootsie Rolls. So with Pawtree, if you do decide to give it a try, once you're enrolled, you can earn up to 35% on everything the puppy families buy from Pawtree for the life of the puppy, which is really an incredible thing. And it's very simple. One of the things I love are the custom pages. We can make a custom recommendation page so they don't have to go fishing through menus and looking up products. We put our products on one page and they go click, 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 check out. It's very simple. We have a quick reference guide for weaning your puppies, and we have a very, very supportive community of people. You can get all the information you want. People will mentor you, you know, just wonderful supportive community. So if you liked a little bit about what you hear and you're interested in giving it a try, talk to the person who invited you here today and they can help you get started. There are some great offers this month. There's an opportunity to earn a cruise to Alaska, which is just amazing. And I hope I see you there because I will be going on it. Lisa, do you want to add anything?
I just want to say, you know, trust the person that invited you for sure. And if you have questions, this is a great community. It's not just Your Pet Pro. It's not just, I can't tell you how many times I've reached out to G. I didn't, you know, before I knew her, just saying, okay, I'm dealing with this. You know, we are all here to help each other because we all really are invested on helping animals have a high quality life. And so, you know, all of this it's an amazing community, but it's also, you know, find out for yourself. You will gain a great testimonial of the products. And that's when you're going to start gaining that momentum, when you actually see the difference that it's making in your dog, and you see the difference that it's making in your puppies, and you see the difference that it's making in, you know, your families, because we've had a lot of dogs that have had some health concerns that are now living a better life because of the joint support, or because of the allergy support, or because of the food. So just, you know, give it a shot. The great thing with this company is it's 100% money back guarantee. If you're not seeing the changes and you're not thinking that this is for you, then you get your money back. It's very few people I literally can count on one hand. I've got two people in all the years I've done this that it didn't quite work for them. And that's out of, you know, several hundred for me personally. So it's been a great addition to the business, but it's been a great addition to seeing animals thrive. And that's why I do it.
Awesome. Thank you all for coming. If you have questions, ask the person who invited you. And if they can't answer your question for some reason, they can certainly reach out to me or Lisa or Christy, and we'll be happy to get the answers for them.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Christy. We're only 8 minutes late.
We're good. Thank you guys so much.
All right. Thank you, Lisa. This was fun. Okay.
Thanks.
Bye.
Okay. Take care, guys.
Bye.